For anyone who's ever sold a home, there's that one big fear, right? What if you list it and then just crickets? What if your house just sits there? It's a really frustrating thought, but we're about to look at a story of how one, let's say, unsellable house got completely turned around. I love this comparison. The bustling real estate market is the party, and your house is that one guest who just won't take the hint and leave. This is the story of a property that totally lost its momentum. It became, well, invisible to buyers. And that's exactly where we're going to start. All right, so let's set the scene. You've got a home, a seller who is more than ready to move on with their life, but the market, it's just not playing along. Now, this isn't a totally unique situation, but the level of absolute radio silence here was something else, and it was leading to some serious frustration. And we're not talking about a couple of weeks here. This home had already been sitting on the market for months. Can you imagine that feeling? Checking your phone every single day, just hoping for a call that never comes. All your plans are just stuck in limbo. The listing was basically collecting digital dust. And here's where it gets really stark. Zero. Not one single buyer had even bothered to schedule a visit. The phone was quiet. It's like the house had slipped into invisibility mode. And let me tell you, in today's market, being invisible is pretty much a death sentence for a listing. So, of course, if you have no showings, you're gonna have no offers. The silence was just deafening. There was no buzz, no interest, nothing at all to signal that this house was a great place to live. For the seller, this was the absolute peak of disappointment. But then, everything changed. The listing expired, and a totally fresh perspective came into the picture. This is the pivot point in our story. It's that moment where a brand new strategy was brought in to breathe life back into a property that the market had completely written off. And this comparison just says it all, doesn't it? Before, the rooms were just kind of meh, you know the type. Buyers were scrolling right past it online without a second thought. But after, it became a must-see property. The photos suddenly popped, they told a story, and buyers weren't just looking anymore, they were actually booking appointments. So after months of absolutely nothing, how long do you think this incredible turnaround took? Just 4 days. That's it. From a stale, forgotten listing to a home under agreement in less than a week. What a result. It just proves the power of presentation. So how in the world did this happen? Well, it wasn't magic, I can tell you that. It was a very deliberate 3-part formula that turned a stagnant property into what the market suddenly saw as a hot commodity. So let's break down this secret sauce. The formula really came down to these 3 powerful things working together. It started with strategic staging to really showcase the home's potential. Then, professional photography to capture all that potential beautifully. And finally, the whole thing was launched with intentional timing to create a sense of urgency and momentum. Okay, this is so important to understand. Staging is not about the seller's personal taste or decorating style. It's about marketing. It is a tool, plain and simple, designed to create an emotional connection and help buyers literally see their own lives unfolding in that space. This pretty much sums up real estate today. That first showing doesn't happen when a buyer walks through your front door. Nope, it happens on their phone while they're scrolling on the couch. That's why high-quality, professional photography is just not negotiable. It's a thing that makes a buyer stop scrolling and say, whoa, okay, I need to see that place. And finally, the timing. See, just putting the newly staged and photographed home back online wasn't quite enough. It was about relaunching it with new energy, a really competitive price, and a strategy to make it feel like a fresh, exciting opportunity. That's what creates that sense of urgency that gets buyers off the couch and through the door. So the quick sale was a huge win, obviously, but the true impact of this turnaround, it goes so much deeper than just the transaction. It's about the human element, the real reason people move in the first place. And here it is, straight from the seller themselves. I mean, you can just feel the weightlifting in those words. This wasn't just a business deal. It was the end of a long, stressful period of uncertainty. This is about restoring someone's hope, and that's the outcome that really, truly matters. Because selling a house is never just about the 4 walls and a roof. It's about helping someone close one chapter of their life so they can start the next one. The ultimate goal, the real win, is moving a person's life forward. Now, the best part about this whole story is that it's not some one-off miracle. It's a formula that can be replicated. See, every single home has a story to tell, and these principles can be used by anyone who's looking to sell to make sure that buyers hear that story loud and clear. So let's turn this into your action plan. First, stage your home to highlight its best features. Don't hide flaws, just make the good stuff shine. Next, absolutely invest in photography that tells a story, that makes buyers feel something. Then, launch it with intention. Make it an event, don't just put it online, and price it competitively right from day one. And when you do all that, you're doing the most important thing. You're creating an emotional connection that makes a buyer say, "This is it. This is the one." And that brings us right to our final thought. This whole process isn't just about checklists and marketing tactics. It's about telling a story. So the question I want to leave you with is a personal one. If you were selling your home today, what is the unique story it needs to tell to capture a buyer's heart and, of course, get it sold?